Okay, well, hey, welcome everybody to a whole new month. Here we are, March 2024. My name's Ken Close. This is the Tech Tip Tuesday call. I am a Healy World member here in the United States, electronics engineer and pioneer for the Healy World USA. And I get the privilege of being joined by our co-host, Jake Barron. He is the head of operations for Americas. Hey, Jake, welcome.
Hey, Ken. Good evening, everyone.
Howdy, howdy. And in the background, by the way, folks, in the chat, we have Lightning Fingers Christian on board with us from customer service, which I love having our customer service agents there in the background because why? Well, because they assist you guys with all the questions and formal stuff and links, by the way. So if you haven't been to Tech Tip Tuesday before, well, thank you for being here. And if you have not, I'm sorry, then let me tell you how it works. This is a chat-based forum where you guys put your questions in the chat, and then myself and Jake and Christian in the background, and sometimes the audience will help serve you guys and solve the problems and the mysteries. And we talk about everything Healy, from the apps to the technology, to the theory, to the concepts, to the programs. What we can't do is we can't treat, diagnose, prevent, or even discuss diseases, disorders, or things like that. Okay. So, but everything else is a free game. We do have resources to help you guys and guide you guys for specific questions around diseases or disorders. And we have ways to get you some answers there. We just don't talk about it here on this program. So I say we get this party started. How about you, Jake?
Sounds great.
Okay, well, here we go. We got some folks checking in saying aloha and hi from Arizona. Thank you for being here, you guys. So first question I see from Maria says that two questions. Does the MagHealy water application have to be at 100%? Okay, well, that sounds like one question. Does it have to be at 100%? Well, the cool thing about magnetic energy or energy in any form, it can be in the lightest of concentrations or in the maximum of concentrations and still have an influence, but it doesn't have to be at 100%. There are some guides, by the way, some guides within the MagHealy and what to set it to. I think, let's see, do we have
Yeah, I mean, the default is, I believe, 100%, but it's not like if it's at 80%, it does nothing. So,
right. Right. It's like I said, to what degree do you have
yeah,
influence? In homeopathy, there is a dilution chart that goes back to, the hundreds of thousands of a particle. So, and there's still valid influence from those specific dilutions. So same thing here. No, it does not have to be at 100%. It's just, again, there are recommendations for each program. And the lower the setting, the longer the battery lasts. It's about the main benefit. Okay. And Christian's put some content in there within the guide, and manual on page 6 recommends 100% intensity on the water programs. Again, these are recommendations. Everything in our world that's manufactured and is provided to the public means that there's a liability, right? And so having recommendations and parameters are necessary. Okay, so you can use it the way you wish. All right.
yeah, and as Christian mentioned, the manual, and you can access that from back office. You can access that in the download section, or you can just go to within the app itself. You can get to the product manual that Christian's referring to there. And like, for example, you see here, this was on page 6 that Christian was talking about in the MagHealy app manual, and you see all of the programs here are at 100%. But as we were just discussing, if you're almost out of battery and you want to maximize, maybe you only have 5 minutes of battery left and you want to be able to run a 10-minute program. Okay, maybe you run it at 80% or 85%. It's still going to have an effect. It's just, ideally, if you can run it at 100%, that's the best situation.
When you're reorganizing a frequency, and again, there's a lot of variables, you guys. When it comes to engineering, man, there's so many variables. We're trying to come up with exacts. It's really tough to do that. But the volume of water that you're influencing, 1 8-ounce glass versus a gallon jug, that's a variable. The intensity, of course, of the magnetic signal, surrounding ambient influence is another one. So, however, that the program that you're applying to the water, no matter what the volume is going to have an effect. And all of this happens. The magnetic energy operates at essentially almost the speed of light. Nothing, I'll put it this way, nothing within our atmosphere actually works at the speed of light because it's our atmospheric influence, but it's a very, very close. All right. So those magnetic influences happen very quickly. And so to some degree, you're going to have it instantaneously. So the duration, it says 10 minutes or whatever the length is, it's going to have an effect almost instantly. So if your battery dies before the end of the cycle, you still have an effect.
Yep.
Okay.
This next question kind of tags along to the topic that we were just saying. So what happens if I mix MagHealy activated water with regular water? Will it be diluted, or will all the water try? This is very interesting. I never heard anyone ask this question before. This is a very interesting topic. Because say you activate 12 ounces of water, and okay, I want to put this into a bigger container that already has 12 ounces of non-activated water. You mix the two together, you've got 24 ounces of water. What does that mean? Does the activated water stay separate somehow from the non-activated water, or does it just kind of just all blend together there?
Yeah, in the molecular world, you go down to the very small, down to the electron. There is information within every electron, and that information gets transferred amongst every other electron. And within an environment, say, electrons that are associated with molecules of water, H2O, hydrogen, oxygen, and there's molecules within the oxygen, molecules within the hydrogen, and the electrons within both. That's shared information. It's like a murmur. You walk into a room where there's lots of conversations going on, right? You're not really picking up just one, but you're hearing a murmur of content within this arena, within this demographic, within this room. So within the container of water, you're going to have an influence globally. So it doesn't take long either when you mix it. And think about it this way too, is if you ever put like some kind of coloring agent into water and you put it in there in that one drop, if you just let it, if you do nothing, if you don't agitate the environment, you just let it sit stagnant, it slowly starts to move around. Why does it slowly start to move around? And eventually, if you just left it there long enough, why would it displace itself amongst the entire contents? Why is that? Well, that's the same principle here. The same principle here is that there is a shared information field at the electron level, at the molecular level, and they intermingle, and pretty soon you have an influence over the whole. So just like the analogy where I said you put a drop of coloring within a water, one drop has a specific influence over this volume of water, 2 drops twice as much, 3 drops 3 times as much. The other side of the equation, so you have a volume of water, if you half the volume of water, 1 drop will have twice the influence on that amount of water versus the other larger volume. Does that make sense? So your volume of water is directly or I should say a factor, but it all is going to get influenced eventually. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does to me. Hopefully
you guys are getting it
hopefully
too.
it does to Maria too, who asked the question.
Well, thank you for that question, though. It's a good question. It's a good
Yeah.
question. And there are laws, thermal laws, dynamic laws, physics laws that operate within this idea, within this concept, or within these theories, that try to even out pretty much the influence or the shifts in, whether it be temperature. Have you ever put an ice cube in warm water? What happens, right? It evens out in the thermal world. The temperature itself evens out eventually. So same theory. Okay. Let's see. Kelvin has a question here. Using the coil or straps with acupuncture needles, LifeWave patches. Is this, if you're asking the question, am I familiar with it? I'm not. If you're asking the question if people do that, I'm sure. When it comes to acupuncture, you have a metallic needle, right? From an engineering perspective, I understand electron flow. And so electron flow with the straps, or I should say, you wouldn't really put the straps around a needle, but say the sticky pads, if you've got conductive surfaces or conductive circuit, you're going to get the electron flow through whatever it is, even an acupuncture needle. With a coil, I want you guys to understand concepts of this coil or this magnetic transmission, whether it be the MagHealy or the coil. When you're looking at magnetic transmission is the transduction or the change from electron flow into a magnetic wave. It's from electron flow through, say, a antenna. Okay. An antenna, somewhere in your neighborhood, you've got maybe a radio transmitter, right? A radio station transmitting a specific radio channel. The way that's done is information is pumped from, say, the DJ talking or putting music on the frequency, and that information, electron flow, is pumped up an antenna. And an antenna is a conductive surface. Anything that's conductive. Your body, by the way, is a walking, talking antenna. So information, electron flow, is sent up this antenna. And when you have any kind of current flow through a conductor, there is a corresponding magnetic wave that emits from it. Okay, so the antennas start to emit a magnetic wave, and that magnetic wave has information on it, and it goes omnidirectionally out from the antenna all over the environment. And so your car driving around, wherever you are, your antenna is sitting there in your vehicle, and that magnetic wave, as it's being sent out from the antenna, remember what I said, electron flow through a conductor emits magnetic waves with corresponding information. Magnetic wave goes out into free space. That magnetic wave, when it encounters another conductive solid, a conductive strip, remember what I said? Your body is also a walking, talking antenna. When that magnetic wave encounters another magnetic or conductive strip, the wave induces electron flow in that conductive strip, aka your antenna. So now electron flow goes down that antenna into your radio. Your radio decodes it and plays the music, plays the DJ's voice, decodes the information on that magnetic wave. So the coil and the MagHealy do the same thing. They send that, like a radio station, send that magnetic wave out into free space. You, as a walking, talking body antenna, your body receives that magnetic wave. Your body decodes the information, right? Electron flow is induced into your body, decodes the information on the electrons, and utilizes it throughout the body. So that's how it works. If you're sending that magnetic wave out and you've got acupuncture needles in the air, they're little tiny antennas. Picking up what? A magnetic signal. Doing what? Inducing current flow, electron flow into those needles, into whatever they're connected to. Okay? Little one, wave theory 101 there, guys.
No, that's a definitely, it's an interesting point, especially regarding the acupuncture. Of course, with the recent launch of the Meridians module 2, you know, maybe not necessarily use at the same time, but, you know, as a part of an overall sort of wellness plan, if you were to use acupuncture along with, you know, the MagHealy doing the meridians analysis too, it'd be interesting to kind of see how those two work together.
100%. You know, Healy and MagHealy were created to work synergistically, right? Not one replaces the other. It's just they're synergistically. And then the coil was created to also work within the synergy of systems. The origination, the core, I believe, the core of Healy's attribute is the microcurrent, right? That's the core of Healy's attribute. The microcurrent has probably the highest scale influence on the body in a very tangible matter. ATP production, amino acid transport, protein synthesis. This is why Marcus created this with microcurrent as the modality. So, you know, to transmit that as a magnetic wave is just another option. And then the MagHealy came along to do it in 2-channel form and in a larger demographic. In other words, a more higher amplified signal. Okay. All right. Okay, so Kelvin's saying, okay, so the needle will direct the flow to a specific point. Yes. Just like when we use TENS units in conjunction with the needles. Yes. So yes, if you look at the needle or a TENS unit, you guys are familiar with TENS unit. This is TENS units are transmitting not microcurrent. By the way, it's a much higher, well, it's microcurrent, but it's a much higher amplitude. It's like 80 millivolts, where Healy is down there at the 20 max, right? It's much lower. And the idea is not for the Healy to convulse the tissues. Its idea is to send information into the tissues, not to influence them involuntarily. No, that's what TENS units do. I'm not saying it's not effective. It's effective in the way it's designed. So yeah, so when you have you know, any conductive entities in the body, then yes, it's going to direct that signal directly to where that conductive unit is, the needle or the patch or whatever it is. Okay. All right. And so Kelvin says, love these Tuesday talks. Thank you very much for that. Awesome. Okay. What's next? Dory says, I run my MagHealy while I sleep. In the morning, it's at 2%. That's not enough to run another program. But if I let it run to deplete the battery, it takes all day. Is it okay to charge at 2%? So I don't know what intensity you're running your sleep program at. I run mine at 100%. And it does not last. Well, it's pretty much used up by the end of the night or by morning. And then typically mine is completely dead within a couple of hours. If I just left it alone, it's completely dead, and then I can recharge it. So I still recommend that you find a day that you don't do anything. Okay. Where you allow the Healy sometime during your week and the MagHealy to fully recharge itself and let your body take a break. So it's important that we sometimes take a break from things and let the body readjust. The body is the healing agent, not everything else. Everything else is giving content, chemistry, molecular influence, but the body is actually doing the organization of healing. So it's got its own intelligence. We just need to sometimes take a break from things. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, if I was to give you my recommendation, I'd say at least 3 times a week, let it go completely dead, even if it's at 2%. And if it takes a while for that to happen, I know you can't really run another program, right? But let it go totally dead. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Jake?
No, I mean, when possible, yeah, let it fully deplete the battery. But yeah, from time to time, it's not going to do too much. Again, we've talked about this before. My Healy that I'm using here is well over 3 years old now, and I don't always have the opportunity to let it go down to 0% before I recharge, and it's still going along fine. But
Yeah. I
you don't
drain
want
mine.
to,
I
yeah,
drain mine every day. I mean,
yeah,
this. Here's the thing: is between programs, you run a few programs, and between programs, if you don't hard close the app, the Healy stays on.
yeah,
Bluetooth light keeps blinking, right?
yeah.
And maybe you forget about it, but it's still running, still on, and still depleting the battery. So
Yeah.
mine eventually totally dies. Yeah, and that's a good thing. So there's a comment, Lindley saying that I have had my Healy running with the blue dot during an acupuncture treatment to great effect. So yeah, remember the blue app, the blue dot app, the HealAdvisor Analyse app, it's working with the quantum entanglement of the client, aka you, right? It's working with the quantum entanglement. So whatever the body is doing, the blue app is influencing that signature, that blueprint. Okay. So whatever the body's doing, it's getting I don't know, I like the word amplified. I love it when I get amplified. Okay. Are we caught up? Let's see. Maria's asking if we could talk about the water program coherence. Want to talk about that?
The water program coherence.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, I mean, as part of course, one of the water MagHealy water application programs that's available, but the basic description, of course, in the Healy manual is short, but is referring to modifying the coherent quantum structure of water to harmonize the natural coherence of water. So, we have the coherence program in the bioenergetic support page that you run with either the coil or microcurrent. But this is another way really to, impact the coherence of the water itself that you're drinking as well. So as far as how they would work, that's, to me, those are kind of could be used together, but not like one as a replacement for the other as far as how they work.
If we look at the definition of coherence from a wider perspective, coherence is integration and differentiation. That's the ancient terminology or ancient description of coherence. Integration, meaning to integrate, to find cooperative effort, to integrate. So integration alongside and equally proportioned to differentiation. And what differentiation means is understanding the difference between A and B, or the beginning and ending, differentiation from when you began and when you ended. So you combine those two, that's coherence. Differentiation, in other words, you understand the difference between this and that, and the integration of the two. So when you're running coherence into water, it is building integration between the water and you, because you're ingesting the water. So there's an intelligence to water. There's a memory to water, right? And this intelligence is at that electron level. And so when the body takes it in, the body requires water. What? It's mostly water, right? It requires water. And so it understands the integration. When you ingest the water, there's an integration between the molecules of water and your body. and your body utilizes that for various functions. So you're just increasing that whole concept when you run a coherence program, whether it be from the water module of MagHealy or from the Healy within that bioenergetic support page, right? That's coherence.
Yeah. And I think the MagHealy Water Application, it's sometimes overlooked because it's, maybe the understanding isn't quite there, but people ask a lot about, okay, using the coil at the same time as, running microcurrent programs, or vibrating programs in the Analyse app and running microcurrent. And we've always talked about kind of using programs that are complementary. And there's 24 programs in the MagHealy Water Application. And if you just look at the names, a lot of them match up with similar programs that you might use with microcurrent, like fitness, modifying the coherent structure, quantum structure of water to harmonize the bioenergetic field of the muscles. I mean, if you're working out, that's a perfect program to activate your water with that you're drinking while you're working out. And maybe you're running one of a muscle harmony or one of those programs or strength that you're, while you're working out. Why not bring that water with you, whether you're working at home or the gym, that's activated with those quantum analyzed frequencies?
Mm-hmm. You've heard me talk about this before, that 97% of the genetic code writing to your cell structures, your cells are turning over to the rate of 800,000 cells per second. That's the turnover rate in your body. Some are muscles, some are bones, some are brain, some are blood cells, skin cells, but 800,000 cells per second. And 97% of the genetic code written to each one of those cells is adaptive, reading the environment so that the body can become some version of itself to survive. That's pretty much the end of that, right? To survive. So if you're infusing that adaptive part of the genetic coding, 97% adaptive, reading the environment, and it's reading magnetic waves. It's reading microcurrent, right? It's reading molecular structures in the water. What do you think is going to happen to your body? It's going to have an influence, right? And what if you are creating what it's reading? What if you're creating those signals, right? That's the cool thing about what we can do. This is biohacking at its finest, if you ask me. This is I use it all the time. And as Jake said, synergistic programs, if you're looking at fitness and you're looking at a workout program and you're using muscles, well, hey, why don't we hook up the microcurrent to a muscle program? And then, oh, hey, what if we have another Healy? We bounce some magnetic waves from a coil around, I don't know, strength, right? Bam, now we're giving those 800,000 cells another signal. Then what if we put the MagHealy in the mix and we're given an entire environmental influence, say, to the water? Now, not just the water that you're drinking, but the water molecules in your body. How much of your body's water? The mother load. So again, what do you think is happening? You're getting a lot of very distinct information to that 97% of the adaptive gene. Very distinct information. Okay. So Dory's got some HealAdvisor app is all black. And the blue app won't load today. So Kristen's got some information in there, the uninstall and reinstall of the app process. And another part of that advice Kristen's saying is disconnect from the Wi-Fi. Now, I'm going to also go another level here. How many apps do you have running in the background? Come on, you guys, take a look. Do you know how to hard close an app? And I want you guys to understand, hard closing apps. So you got, maybe you're busy all day, you're checking your email, you're doing your social media. Maybe you got a couple of calculations on your calculator. I don't know, maybe you've opened 5 or 6 apps. Remember, those apps, certain apps have a refresh concept where they're going out, bringing information in so that when you open the app, you've got all the latest and greatest content for whatever that app is. Say it's a social media thing, right? How many notifications do you have? That little red circle at the bottom down there, notifications, right? Well, that's because the app has gone out and checked your social media account. And when a new notification came in, it added it to the mix. Same thing with an email. Same thing with an email. So it's constantly using bandwidth from your phone, from the transmission system, whether you're on Wi-Fi or on data stream, whatever it is, it's constantly using that resource to refresh and update all those apps you have open. So if there's a lot of stuff going on, the resources for running your Healy, way depleted. Okay. The other thing that's important to remember is that if your smart device is out of memory, so these smart devices have a finite amount of memory, and that it's that memory that's on board that is used by the processor to manage all the functions. And if it's low, it's going to be slow, glitchy, or maybe just totally corrupt, right? So very important, very important.
Yeah, Christian put some tips in there, but there's not any sort of issue going on, widespread. So it's probably some sort of localized issue in your situation there. You just mentioned, I'm not sure what you mean by hard closing all apps. So if you restart it, it is different as far as that goes. And if you just Google, I'm not sure if you mentioned if you're on iOS or Android, but if you just Google how to hard close an app, iOS or Android, there's tons of short YouTube videos that explain it. But so the iPhone, yeah, just we've shown this. Let me see if I can find it on Healy for Beginners and Beyond. But we did show this in one of the last couple episodes. I think the Healy, maybe it was the Healy simplified one. Let me see if I can find it. But it's very simple. Once you know how to do it, it's it's quick. But you usually just essentially swipe up from the bottom of the screen till you see all the apps kind of all lined up. And you can scroll left or right, but then you swipe up again, kind of swipe the app away to hard close it. But let me see if I can.
Yeah, it's so I love this question. We were on the road show, I remember, and did some demos and such. And I remember, when I would ask people, do you have all the apps hard closed in the background? They were like, what are you talking about? And I would know at that moment that they have dozens of apps open in the background, because if you don't know how to hard close them, they'll stay open. And there's a great resource. And as Jake said, you can Google it, but the other way you can do it too is go to YouTube. You can go to YouTube, and up in the little search bar on YouTube, say hard close an app on iPhone. That's it. Type that in. And you'll get a movie star, some person giving you a lecture on how to do that. I don't mean literally a movie star, but you're going to get somebody to create a movie, a video of how to do that hard close. And on an iPhone, there's it depends on what version you have. If you have one with the home button at the bottom of the phone, or you do not. If you have a home button at the bottom of the iPhone, you just double press that home button, just click, and that kind of opens all these little array, a fan of windows, and that's all the apps you have open. If you do not have that, there's a swipe up and left. Is it up and left? Up and right, sorry. Swipe up and right, and that does the same thing, same function. And then that's going to give you it'll show you a lineup of all the apps. It's like there'll be little windows, one on top of another, like layered. And that's all the apps that are open. And you swipe up on one of those windows, and that hard closes it. Just turning your phone off and back on doesn't do that. You're muted.
And I found where it actually was. Oh, it was over a year ago. It's hard to believe.
Time
February 2nd, 2023, Healy for Beginners and Beyond. So let me just share it. I just, we'll just go through like a minute of this video and kind of show how this works here. Let me share sound. Go here. Okay, so again, Healy forbids me on February 2nd, 2023, top 10 FAQs and things all Healy users need to know. So if you go to this video and then scroll down to this section here, how do I hard close an app and properly switch between Healy apps? If you click on this 45-minute, it'll take you right to the segment. The segment's a couple minutes long, but I went ahead and kind of fast forwarded to the section where we discuss this. So I'll just play this for a minute here.
In action here, what we're talking about. So, basically we have our devices on Apple. From the bottom, you swipe up slightly, and then you'll see what you have open come up. So I have a couple of things open here. I have the Zoom thing, I've got the HealAdvisor, I've got Healy app, a Safari, calendar, settings, camera, some music. So there's a lot of different things that are open. And, I feel like almost half the time that we ask someone about this or try to explain this, that there's not clear on the actual process. Maybe they got to the screen or they minimized it to the background, but it's still open somewhere. And this is going to lead us into our next question, about how to use a Healy and a MagHealy at the same time, because you actually have to do a hard close process in order to link back up to the next device. But I'm just going to hard close. We'll close out the HealAdvisor app. So all I did, I swiped up from the bottom a little bit, and then you go scroll over to the direction you want for the app to close, and then you hold your finger on the app somewhere, and then you swipe up, and then it's gone. It's hard closed. It's no longer open or running in the background, anything like that. So the next time you open it up, you'll see, if I go to HealAdvisor, it's going to start at that main screen again. It's not going to take me back to where I was before. It's going to go through the whole process. And this is important also because for the HealAdvisor app can be open at the same time as, say.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Once you get those apps up where you can kind of see and scroll left and right, and then you have to select the app that you want to hard close and sort of get it out of there, swipe it up and out in a way, and that is essentially what they refer to as a hard close. You can refer to this video here. I'll put the link into the chat, but you can also find a million of these on YouTube as well, if you want a kind of a more detailed one or different perspective on it.
Yeah, and like Jake said, to swipe it up, when he uses the word select. So if you just touch the one of those half pictures of an app, right? You just touch one, that's selecting it. You don't have to do anything else, and then you just slide your finger up on your screen. That actually, you have to slide it all the way up until it kind of disappears. That's the hard close function. You're actually closing the program. So like on your computer, you'll hit the little X on the program to close it. Well, your smart devices don't have that X on the apps like that. They have that function that Jake just displayed, and the Healy for Beginners and Beyond we covered. That's the function. And yeah, YouTube is an awesome tool for finding a video. And if you don't like the one video that you're seeing, go get another one, right? There's so many. So yeah, and there's that link that to that Healy. We have, corporate has done so many. Jake's done so many Healy for Beginners and Beyond. He's had me on as co-host sometimes. Yep. That's awesome. Doc Steve's been there. We've had some other experts on there. I love it. And so that's a great resource, you guys. And I highly recommend that you just go to that channel and just browse. You'll see, some pretty cool stuff. And then of course, these Tech Tip Tuesdays are all in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Great stuff. Awesome resource. Okay. Are we caught up?
I think we are caught up again.
Yay. Okay. Well, that's awesome. So now, and this is kind of cool. Maybe some of you guys, other guys didn't know how to hard close an app. And the reason this is significant is because remember the memory, like I said, on your smart device, the amount of memory there is a finite resource. And your smart device, just like your computer, has a processor, a CPU, right? Central processing unit. It also has an operating system, just like your computer. You know, some of you guys might be running a Mac. Some of you might be running a PC. There's an operating system for your computer that operates it so you can see icons on your screen, so you can hear content coming out of your speakers, so you can load or utilize a program. All that is the operating system's function. That's why it's there. On your smart device, every time you touch the screen, you're activating a program, because the screen itself is a functional, active part of your phone, of your system. Every little icon on there is another component, right? So when you touch something on the screen, it creates an action. All that's done by the processor, and interpreted by the operating system. And all that requires resources. So if your smart device has 10 billion pictures on it, like mine does, and a lot of video, maybe it's got a lot of apps, you might want to check your memory resources, because it could be getting low. And if your memory resources are low on your smart device, in other words, your memory is, say, more than 75% consumed by content, you know, programs, notes, you know, pictures, videos, all that, then you're going to have a little bit of trouble running Healy. The apps are resource hungry. Healy does a lot. The apps do quite a bit when it comes to running the hardware, the Healy hardware or the MagHealy. The apps do a lot. So, anyway, there you go. Make sure it's clear and ready to run. Oh, good news. Blue app is working now. Woohoo! I love that.
Yeah. And I mentioned that the HealAdvisor is back, but it keeps saying data is being synced. So yeah, that is the screen that comes up when you first open up, should be a sync, but it doesn't normally take that long. So I'm wondering, it's possibly a connection issue, whether it's Wi-Fi or your cellular connection maybe there, but you know, there's always the option to delete and uninstall the HealAdvisor app and just log back in if you're still continuing to have issues there. But or you could just wait till tomorrow and try it again to see if it was some sort of connection issue there. But only thing to keep in mind there is, you know, if you were to delete HealAdvisor and reinstall, if you have any sort of IMF schedule in there, you'd have to put that back in. And then also, if you're in the middle of like a natural cycle, the next trigger date, I don't think is till March 19th. So I don't think anyone's in the middle of that right now, but that's something to keep in mind. If you ever were to delete it, it would, if you're in the middle of it, it would take you to the next trigger date and not bring you back to where you were in that particular cycle.
So I'll show you real quick. I'll just go ahead and I'll share my screen real quick here, you guys, and we'll open up. Let's see. Let's open up the say the HealAdvisor. That's the watch. Let's see. HealAdvisor. Here we go. So when you open it up, mine just goes right into the HealAdvisor Analyse, so we're good there. Let's go to the wave. There we go. The HealAdvisor is going to do this little screen right here, and it should only take a few seconds, and then boom, you're back up online. If it's taking longer than that, then if you notice my screen at the top left, there's a battery icon, and then there's a fan, and then a signal strength. So that means I'm on a Wi-Fi. If you're on a Wi-Fi and the signal strength is maybe 1 bar, it could be a very low bandwidth. Bandwidth is the amount of information per second that can be transmitted between your source or your Wi-Fi transmitter and the smart device. So bandwidth, how wide of a bandwidth it can transmit content. So you might try turning your Wi-Fi off on your smart device. If you turn your Wi-Fi off, then that's going to then move you over into synchronizing with your data content on your Wi-Fi service. I mean, on your cell service, whoever your service is. Now, remember, that's going to eat up data, right, on your program, on your plan, your cell plan, but it may be necessary because there's something going on with your Wi-Fi. I highly recommend that you actually power down your Wi-Fi router. If you guys are using a wireless system, or you're using an Ethernet, either way, power it off, and then power it back on. Sometimes your internet provider needs to do some updates, and these updates don't take effect until you actually power down. It's also going to, just like your mobile device, if it's on all the time, it can get bogged down and you need to turn it off and let it reset. No different than your computer, right? You reset your computer and it kind of reallocates. There's a lot of systems in the background. They're called cache, or they're different memory locations that it accesses. The CPU accesses these locations and functions better. So powering things down and back on is another way of recycling and getting things to connect better. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, with Wi-Fi, you also introduce the possibility, even if you're not in your home network, maybe you're out somewhere, that there could be some sort of restrictions on that network, depending on what's allowed to be accessed or downloaded or at home. We've run into this issue on this call where people haven't even realized that they have a VPN on their network, and then they suddenly can't access something, or maybe they got a new router and someone came in and set up the new network and didn't realize that there's a VPN on there. And then once you disable that, you're suddenly able to access the apps again.
If you guys aren't familiar with a VPN, this is a security way that certain internet providers reduce risk, I guess you might say, corruption or risk, hackers, viruses, that kind of thing. Okay.
All right.
We're caught up again.
Yes.
I like it.
Well,
Darius,
for
go ahead.
no, I was going to say, just we talked a little bit about the Meridians module earlier, and for those of you that saw on Frequencies and Friends, there's a 50% off the Meridians module promo this month, which is the best offer we've had on that new module that launched in November. So if you've kind of been on the fence of wanting to try it, it's our most expensive module, but it's very in depth. If you go through the analysis, it's not just start it up and pick it. It goes through many different layers and steps when you're going through this analysis. And we have some great training videos in Academy on how to use the Meridian module that gives kind of a great examples if you want to see what it looks like, and maybe you're considering purchasing it. You can definitely check out those training videos. It kind of shows you how comprehensive this is, but it's a very powerful module. And of course, you're taking advantage of the dual resonance sensors and the MagHealy when you're doing this. This is the first module that you can use with the MagHealy in the Analyse app for the first time ever. So.
Yeah, it's the first analytical engine that you can use. That you can use the MagHealy resources to do the analysis with, and again, using that its full capacity, its dual sensor system, or you know, in electronics world, it's a dual random generator system. It's quite intense. And I remember in a lecture, I was in a lecture with listening to Marcus talk about meridians, and within our bodies, not to mention the entire planet, but just within the bodies, we have some meridians that are literally only about 1 cell wide, right? Just very, very thin streams of information, which is a meridian. A meridian is a communications channel, right? It's information passed through the body. And, you know, there are tons of those. And so you can get, when you're looking at the meridians of the body, like a harp, they all have different frequencies, different tuning, you know, and they need to be tuned up sometimes. So it's great to analyze them, see what's out of tune, I guess. And then, yeah, send you some information. Okay. Dory's got a question here. Do you use the vibrate option with MagHealy? So, yeah, you can use it's.
Yeah, but when you're doing the analysis in the Analyse app, everything through there, whether it's Healy or MagHealy, is the vibration. But with the MagHealy, with the Meridian module, you also have access to a specific set of programs that you can then use your MagHealy directly in the Healy 2 app as well. So there you have both options there.
Yeah, it's going to give you the names of those programs, right? So you can use them in other ways. But everything that's, yeah, like Jake said, everything that's done with the Blue app is, you know, Healy uses the word vibrate. It's, you know, you kind of superimpose transmit on there. It means the same. Transmit, and it's being transmitted through the hardware. So, and essentially to the target, which is the client.
And you want to keep in mind also not to confuse running an analysis in the Analyse app with your Healy on the MagHealy database versus doing the Meridian's module analysis with your MagHealy. Because with the Meridian module, you connect your MagHealy to the Analyse app, not your Healy device. So those aren't the same thing. So in order to access the module, the Meridian's module, you do need to purchase that, and then you do need to have a MagHealy in order to connect that to the Analyse app.
Yeah, you see that chain of events. The MagHealy and the MagHealy Meridians module are separate and assigned, you know, differently when you're running the HealAdvisor in the HealAdvisor. Okay, but when you're running the Healy in the HealAdvisor and you're doing analytics with the Healy, you can access some of the MagHealy programs to analyze with, but not the Meridians, right? So there's a differentiation there, you guys. If you haven't purchased the Meridians module and you don't have a MagHealy, you won't be able to access those or use those. Separate. Okay. Dory says, now my Blue app has deleted me. You're going to need to do a refresh. It's in the cloud. It's you. Well, let me put it this way. If you've done an update and you're not running in, say, demo mode, you as a client should still be in your Healy cloud. It's the cloud account, not on the app. The app is, you know, a user of the cloud account and a sender and receiver of information from the cloud account, but it's a separate entity. It's like another storage area. So you would want to, when it downloads, it should load all that stuff. If you've deleted the app and reinstalled the app and it did a download, Yeah, I mean, the only way you wouldn't be there is if it hadn't sent the information to your cloud. But I don't know how long you've had your app and how long you've been using it. Every time you open it, it does a download. There you go.
Oh,
Now,
now it's back. So yeah, it
it
sounds like it's been a difficult day for you, Tori.
yeah, don't just breathe. Just breathe and relax. It's all going to work out. You know, when you delete an app and then reinstall the app, there's a process of communications between, say, the app might have access to some memory location that's not on your phone. It's not on your smart device. It is a server somewhere else. That's called a cloud. Okay, Healy has that. They have a medical cloud, and every person that has a Healy, every account has a medical cloud, has a Healy cloud account. And that's where all of you and all your analytics, your account information, all of that is stored for you. And it's unique just to you. This is why when you log in, it sends a code via your email on the account, and you have to write in that code or type in that code in order to have access. It's an authentication process because it's only you, right? So and once you have logged in, all the content's downloaded, but sometimes it takes a minute. It takes a bit of refreshing. That's okay.
Yep.
All right, guys, we are down to the couple minutes left. Let's see, any announcements you wanted to say for this week, Jake?
No, I mean, just What's Up Wednesday tomorrow. Join us. We had for those of you that caught Frequencies and Friends last week on Friday, there was a ton of new information that was announced, and we're going to kind of recap that a little bit and try to simplify some things as much as possible. So definitely, if you are available, love to have you join us at 1 p.m. Eastern time. HealyWUW.com.
The easy way to get there, just like you got here tonight on our Tech Tip Tuesday call,
Yep.
tthealy.com. Also, if this was helpful for you guys, hey, invite your friends, invite your team, invite your customers, invite anybody who has a Healy. If you guys learned something tonight, hey, you never know what you're going to learn next time. And you never know what question might be out there. There is no bad question or no wrong question. So we're always here to try to help you unpack things and understand better. The better you understand, the better the process and everything works. Okay. Well, thank you, Jake. By the way, guys, if you want to save the chat, those links that are in there that Jake put in there, content that Christian put in there, down at the bottom in your chat box, those three little dots next to the smiley face icon, click on those. There's a spot where it says save chat. At the end of our call, it'll pop up on only if you're on your computer or laptop. The message will pop up to save the chat. If you're on your smart device, you can't save it. All right, guys. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Christian.
Yep. Thanks, Ken. Thank you, Kristen. Have a great night, everyone.
Okay, we'll see y'all next week.